Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, of course, Gervonta Davis is making the rounds to promote his fight against Lamont Roach, and he stopped by a gentleman's platform named Mr. Chime Time, if I'm not mistaken. And he did about a 4-minute interview with Gervonta Davis, and there were a couple of questions that he asked that I thought were extremely interesting. At least the responses to those questions were interesting. I'm going to address one of those responses in this video, and we'll probably circle back to the other one in a later video. But before we jump into that, I would urge you to join the AM Sports Media Discord, where we're talking boxing 24/7. I wake up to boxing, I go to sleep to boxing, and we've introduced a new tool in there. We have AI in our Discord where you can ask boxing related questions like who wins this fight, who wins that fight, and you can get an answer from our AI that's going to do the analysis to determine who wins the fight. We're doing things over here at AM Sports Media that no other boxing platform is doing. Okay, so jumping into this particular topic, Mr. Chime Time had a segment called Challenge or Easy Work, and he mentioned a few fighters, and I thought it was quite interesting to see and hear what Gervonta Davis had to say about some of these fighters. Now, for me, I agree with some of it to an extent, and I disagree with others points that Gervonta Davis made in this interview. I'm going to play this clip very quickly, and I want to come back and react to it because I think it's interesting, and I think it's great dialogue for us to have here on this channel. And I'm interested in hear what you have to say in the comment section as well. So let me play this clip here very quickly.
We're going to do easy work or challenge. I'm going to name 6 fighters and tell me easy work or challenge, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got Devin Haney.
Easy work.
Shakur Stevenson.
Easy work.
Keyshawn Davis.
Super easy work.
Super? Damn. Lomachenko.
I don't know. I haven't seen him in a minute. I say he a challenge because he a vet.
Bud Crawford.
The only reason why I say a challenge because his size. He a way bigger guy than me.
And last one, Lamont Roach.
Challenge.
Gotcha. Appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right, so that was the segment right there. Now, I want to react to some of these fighters. Number one, Devin Haney. He did mention recently that he would be more willing to face Devin Haney in the event that Devin Haney looks good in his next fight. I think that's good news for boxing fans. He mentioned that Devin Haney would be easy work. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of pushback on that comment just based off of what Tank recently said in regards to Turki Al-Sheikh and not being willing to fight Devin Haney over there in Riyadh. Or let me put that more precisely. He would need to get paid more to fight him over there because he understands the relationship that Turki Al-Sheikh has with Devin. You guys are going to say, well, if he's such easy work, he should have just took the money. That's not how business works. And I'm not going to spend too much time there, but that's just simply not how business works, specifically when you're the A side. Now, making the comment that Devin Haney is easy work, I'm going to push back on that a little bit. I think Devin, honestly, is the easiest of those opponents that are realistic opponents, because of the lack of punching power. And personally, I feel that Devin has some defensive deficiencies. But Devin is going to come into the ring bigger, taller, longer, rangier. And so that will pose some challenge to Gervonta Davis. Now, we saw Lomachenko figure out a way to get on the inside. I don't think that would be a challenge necessarily for Gervonta Davis. Eventually, he'll figure out how to get on the inside and start to land on Devin Haney. And I think he'll get him up out of there. Moving on to Shakur Stevenson, he calls Shakur easy work. I'm gonna disagree here. I think Shakur Stevenson suffers from the same ailment as Devin Haney, and that's lack of punching power. He definitely doesn't punch very hard, but the stylistically, the way that he would match up with Gervonta Davis, the size advantage, the reach advantage, and then always being on defense, I think would pose a challenge in terms of Gervonta Davis's ability to actually land punches at the clip he normally does. Now, does that mean Gervonta Davis loses? Absolutely not. I think Tank wins. I think ultimately Tank figures out a way to get on the inside and start to land shots against him as well. But I think what will hurt Shakur is he's not going to be able to win against Gervonta Davis fighting like he fought De Los Santos. They're not going to give him rounds for that type of performance. He's going to actually have to open himself up in order to be successful against Gervonta Davis, which will create opportunities. And I think Gervonta Davis ultimately wins that fight. Now, Keyshawn Davis, he said he was super easy work. I think maybe he's speaking to the fact that Keyshawn Davis is not as seasoned as some of these other opponents. And that's the reason why he's saying he's super easy work. I don't think Keyshawn is super easy work. I think he has pop. I think he has skill. I think he lacks the experience. I would say that Gervonta Davis would absolutely beat him. But I don't see that fight happening whatsoever, just because Keyshawn is not really with that class of fighters, right? That group of fighters are kind of together. The Shakur Stevenson, Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney's of the world, Teofimos. Those guys are kind of grouped together. Keyshawn is, I don't know, a day or 2 weeks late, whatever you want to call it. He's behind. So I don't think that fight ends up materializing, but we will see. Lomachenko, he gave Lomachenko the benefit of the doubt simply because of his experience. He's a vet. My thought is that he answered that question like that as well because he potentially wants to circle back to that fight after he fights Lamont Roach. Don't be surprised if that is the route that Gervonta Davis takes next. Lomachenko, I just feel like he answered that in a specific way for a specific reason. Just my personal opinion. And then he mentioned Bud Crawford and said that Crawford, the only reason he's saying he would be a challenge is because of the size. He's much bigger. Crawford has the size advantage, but Crawford is a highly skilled guy. Like that. It don't. If Crawford was at 35 right now, back in the, that would be an interesting fight though. Crawford at 35 versus Tank at 35. That would be an interesting fight for sure. Crawford got pop in speed and an unorthodox style. Tank, the power, the ability to slip shots. That would be an interesting fight at 35. But Terence Crawford is a hell of a fighter, man. We can't take anything away from him. He's a hell of a fighter. I don't want to do that. So I'm not even sure why he was thrown in there, since that's a fight that's not realistically going to happen. But that would be an interesting fight at 35 from a fantasy standpoint for sure. So those were the comments from Gervonta Davis. I agree with some of it. Some of it I don't agree with. But hopefully we'll see Tank make those fights. I think it's good that he's even talking about these fighters. We want him to talk about these fighters. Recently, Eddie Hearn said that they are going to move towards a Gervonta Davis fight. They're not going to fool around with all this Williams and Pater stuff. That is what fight fans have been calling for. And hopefully Gervonta Davis is receptive to it. In the event that he is successful against Lamont Roach, we can never count a fighter out. But if he's successful against Lamont Roach, there's no reason why we shouldn't see Davis versus Stevenson towards the end of 2025. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, AM Sports Media, and I am out.